You're listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, hosted by Steve Jenny and his satanic assistant, Alex Montini, both of whom can't go into churches without vomiting.
Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be around this wild, wacky, and sometimes disturbing world of ours. Yes, that's the intro to the Mindset Podcast, a weekly attempt to open eyes and shedding light on what's really going on in the world, all done by ripping apart the media madness that masquerades as news. Join me, Gareth Davis, every Sunday on the Mindset Podcast. You can find the show on all major podcasting services such as iTunes, Stitcher, and so on. Or you can go directly to the main Mindset website. That's www.mindsetcentral.com. Check out the Mindset Podcast. Bring your curiosity, your opinions, and a sense of humor. And remember that some worldviews are stranger than others.
Welcome to Nocturnal Frequency Radio here live on the New Visions Radio Network, and of course live simulcasting live on our YouTube channel. How you doing, Alex?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Can't complain. The weather's been a little warmer.
Definitely warmer, yes.
Yeah. What is it normally? February out like a lion, or what is it? March in like a lion? It's been crazy. The weather, of course, again this year has been nuts.
All I know is that March is usually a crazy month. I figures this has to be the month of my birthday. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, hopefully we don't have to worry about any major snow the next month, but can't count that out. So anyways, we're not going to waste any time. Our guest this evening is Dr. Manuel Matas, and I want to thank you so much, Dr. Matas, for joining us this evening. It's a great honor to have you on the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to it.
Getting right into it, you want to talk a little bit about the book that you've written and tell the folks about what generally it's about, just so they have an idea?
Okay. Well, the book I wrote is called The Borders of Normal, and the subtitle is A Clinical Psychiatrist De-Stigmatizes Paranormal Phenomena. So yeah.
What prompted you to go this route, to try to destigmatize? Because I know, obviously, from speaking to other people as well, that, I mean, this is like almost like a fine line that you are walking within your field. If you steer in that direction, a lot of people would raise their eyebrows, to say the least.
That's right. But I think, I got to a certain point in my life where I didn't really care what people thought.
Right.
Because I felt a need to talk about what was going on. So many people who have paranormal experiences don't want to talk about them because they're worried that they're losing their minds, or they're worried about what people will think of them. So I thought, first of all, I've had a number of paranormal experiences myself, and I thought if I can talk about my own experiences, that will help people talk about their experiences. Because as a psychiatrist, I can say, the difference between, for example, the difference between psychic and psychotic. If you hear a voice, that's not necessarily a sign that you're psychotic. There's a lot more to being psychotic than just hearing a voice. That's one example.
Go ahead, Steve.
No, based on your research that you did for the book, and of course your experiences yourself. Now, when you say paranormal, is it actually something that is like completely unknown, or is it psychological? Where did most of your research lead you?
Okay, well, I'd like to start out by saying, if you look at the word paranormal,
Mm-hmm.
the prefix para means beside.
Okay.
So we have paramedics working beside medical doctors, we have paralegals working beside lawyers, we have the Paralympics, and so on. So paranormal doesn't mean abnormal.
Okay.
It means beside normal.
Oh, okay.
People think there's something wrong with you if you have what's called a paranormal experience. So maybe I should just briefly talk about the types of paranormal experiences that I discuss in my book. And then I can talk about some of the paranormal experiences I've had myself.
Sure.
So I talk about, visions, people who have visions or see apparitions, for example, people who hear voices or any type of perceptual experience. Any of the five senses can be affected. I talk about near-death experience, out-of-body experience. I talk about ESP, telepathy, precognition, precognitive dreams, a few other things as well. Telepathy.
Yeah, the near-death experience and the out-of-body experience is the one that really interests me, only because I had something similar happen to me when I was a lot younger, and I had no idea what was happening to me. I was doing meditation when I was trying to go to sleep, and I was in that in and out state, that half in, half out of sleep state, and I felt myself sort of being lifted out of my body. But as soon as that happened, I just snapped away because I didn't know what was going on, and I had no idea what an out-of-body experience was. So it kind of snapped me awake, and I haven't been able to sort of replicate it since. And I've discussed this many times on the show in the past, and I know other people who have experienced. And now you've differentiated in your book between astral projection and out-of-body experience. You want to maybe delve a little bit into that?
Sure. Well, an out-of-body experience can happen in a number of different settings. But the difference between an astral projection and an out-of-body experience is that an astral projection is intentional. Like, for example, when you had that experience, you weren't planning to have that experience. It just happened. It was spontaneous. In astral projection, the idea is that if we assume that there is a soul, and the soul is called the astral body, then the astral body can leave the physical body and travel anywhere in the universe. In the case of an out-of-body experience, which you had and which I also had, you're lying in bed and suddenly you see yourself floating along the ceiling, looking at yourself lying in bed. You looking down on your body, but you're not traveling to other parts of the universe. You're just in that room. Now, out-of-body experiences can happen in a number of different situations. For example, when you're sleeping or dreaming, but it can also happen during surgery under anesthesia. It can happen as a result of taking certain drugs like ketamine or PCP, and it can happen during a near-death experience.
Yeah, and I only wish that I knew more about it at the time, because I would have let it happen instead of just sort of snapping awake. Because now, come as it may, I've tried everything under the sun to try to recreate that scenario, and it's just not going to work for me.
Well, the thing is, when it happens to you the first time, you don't know what's going on. You might be frightened. You just want to get back into your body.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's understandable.
Yeah.
But some people can actually be trained. They can learn how to have out-of-body experiences.
That's what I'm hoping to try to. I know there's instructions online to do it, but the problem is with doing these kind of searches online is that you have to sort of weed through all of the nonsense in order to get to something that actually is helpful. And that's the problem I've had, is trying to find something that can legitimately help me achieve that goal without wasting my time on all the stuff that's nonsense. Because there is a lot of nonsense out there as well.
Well, I could recommend a book. It's called Anyone Can See the Light.
Okay.
It's by a woman called Diane Morrissey. So she's a woman who actually died. She was electrocuted. She was taking a bath, and her radio was plugged in. It fell into the water, and she was electrocuted. So she was clinically dead, and then she was resuscitated. After she was resuscitated, she started being able to see people's auras. She started being able to have out-of-body experiences, and she learned how to have one. And now she started having workshops teaching other people how to have out-of-body experiences.
Okay.
So that's a book you might find helpful.
I'll look into it for sure. I just pulled it up now on Goodreads. I'm just gonna read it after the show is done, just to see where it goes. But thank you for that. What kind of going in when you go and write a book like this, especially from someone in your field, what kind of pushback did you get from your colleagues, if any?
Well, I was actually surprisingly pleased by the positive feedback I got from most of my colleagues, not all of them.
Right.
I remember one physician, when I told her about the book I was writing, and I said, the subtitle was De-Stigmatizing Paranormal Phenomena. And she said, well, why would you want to destigmatize them? So that's one reaction. But then once the book came out, I'm in Winnipeg, so the president of the Manitoba Psychiatric Association, he actually heard me on CBC, and he asked me to write a little summary of my book, and they included it in the Manitoba Psychiatric Association newsletter, which was distributed to all the psychiatrists in Manitoba.
Right.
So I've been surprised at how open people are to this type of thing.
I think there's a yearning for it, to be quite honest with you. Like, I mean, especially with everything that's going on in the world today, I think... So the way I see it personally is you have, on the one hand, people have become less religious in a sense. So now they have this sort of hole in themselves that they can't seem to fill with anything else. And they tend to gravitate to the unknown because religion is kind of the unknown as well, in a sense. So they kind of tend to gravitate to that to try to fill that sort of void. And there's a yearning for an understanding that I think is driving this sort of interest.
I agree with you completely. I read somewhere that 40% of Canadians call themselves spiritual, but not religious.
Right.
They're not affiliated with any particular religion. But at the same time, there's a yearning or a hunger for some kind of meaning and purpose in life.
Right.
And a wish to believe that there's more to this life than meets the eye. Like you say, with all the turmoil, with all the conflict, with everything that's going on in the world, people are looking for something deeper, something more significant, something to hold on to.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, I'm in that same shoes myself. I mean, I was born and raised in a Catholic family, but even as a child, I was never really a practicing Catholic. And there's always seemed to be a void in my life that I couldn't seem to fill with anything. And even and I've dabbled in the occult, I've dabbled in the paranormal, I've dabbled in a whole bunch of things that, some people might think I'm off my rocker for doing, but nevertheless, nothing seems to sort of fill that void. You know what I mean? So I keep searching is the point I'm trying to say, right? Yeah, I know. Go ahead, Steve. Make fun of me.
I'm not saying
I was going to say, like, when people have a near-death experience, and there've been lots of them, thousands of them, because of modern cardiopulmonary resuscitation, people who previously would have died are now being resuscitated.
Yeah.
Either, it was a serious accident or a serious illness. And people who've had these experiences afterwards, they feel like they're more spiritual, but not more religious.
Right.
And they also feel that one religion isn't necessarily better than any other religion. There's different paths, But these people, as a rule, after they have this experience, they become more spiritual and less materialistic. They become more altruistic, and they have a belief in an afterlife. And they also lose their fear of death.
I've heard that.
They overcome their fear of death, which is one of the biggest fears that people have.
I think it's the biggest. in my personal opinion. Especially the older you get, the more you think about it, and the more it just frightens the crap out of me, right? I think what worries me the most, and I'm sure a lot of other people feel the same way, is that you don't know what's going to happen after we die. You literally don't know.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part, right?
Well, it's the fear of the unknown.
Exactly.
But I used to hear that the number one fear was the fear of public speaking.
Yeah.
Because all eyes are on you.
Yeah.
As you get older, you think about different things.
So I have the question from Facebook if you want to go that route.
Sure.
It says here, how do you deal with the I think it's we kind of broached this subject anyway. How do you feel about the intersection of academia and the paranormal? Academic research can be very insular in nature, and treating the paranormal as a legitimate field of study can ostracize somebody very easily.
Well, I guess that depends, which university you're at. I mean, certain universities, for example, Duke University, Stanford, Princeton, they've had parapsychology research labs. Also in Europe, Utrecht in the Netherlands, Glasgow in Scotland. So certain universities recognize parapsychology as a legitimate field of study. Mm-hmm. And there's been lots of research done on that. And there's academic journals about parapsychology and nowadays, people, instead of saying parapsychology, they say consciousness studies. Okay. I think that's a more modern term. They used to call it psychical research in the 19th century. Then in the 20th century, it was parapsychology. Now in the 21st century, they tend to use the term consciousness research. But there's a journal of consciousness research, and there's academics, and there's conferences, and there's publications. And so I think there's getting to be more and more an interest in the subject. And I think it's becoming more and more acceptable in academic circles. But that's not to deny that there is also a lot of skepticism.
Right.
Mm. And it's always nice to have that healthy skepticism with this, obviously.
Absolutely.
So you mentioned you had several personal experiences yourself. Did you want to dive in a little bit more about those?
Sure. The first one I had, which I recall, was at age 19, when I was a second-year medical student, and I dreamt the exam the night before the exam. And that subject is respirology, which is the study of the respiratory system, which is my worst subject for some reason. And I felt like that dream helped me pass the exam.
Well.
So I didn't tell anyone about it for years because I thought no one would even believe me. I met someone else who told me she also used to dream the exam the night before the exam. And then I started doing research in the whole subject of precognitive dreams. And I was surprised at how common they are.
Wow.
Dreams are powerful. They're very powerful.
Very, very powerful.
Yeah. I had, Steve, you know this story. I mean, I'll briefly recount it, but I got over my fear of flying through a dream.
Did you?
Yeah.
What happened?
Well, I wasn't born in Canada. I was born in Italy. And when we first emigrated to Canada, we actually moved to Manitoba. There we go. Oh. So I lived in Manitoba for 4 years. So I was 8 years old, never flew before, obviously. And when we got onto a plane, it was the 747, which is a monster of a plane. And I was scared. I was really not terrified, but I was scared. 2 years later, there was no plans for us to go anywhere that I knew of at the time anyway. And I had the most lucid dream where I'm not going to recount the whole thing because a lot of it's irrelevant, but towards the end of the dream, I basically went over a cliff and I felt like that first big hill on a roller coaster when your stomach goes in your throat. That's how I felt. And I thought it was going to just splat at the bottom, but I started to sort of level off and fly, and I could feel the sensation of flying in that dream. And that's what got me over, because it felt so great that now, after that point, I actually look forward to getting back on a plane and flying.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I mean, so many people have talked about precognitive dreams, also called prophetic dreams. People that are really well known, people like Charles Dickens and Mark Twain and Abraham Lincoln Thomas Edison. I'll just recount one that I read about that Charles Dickens talked about. He always used to go on a speaking tour whenever he had a new book coming out. So the night before he was about to speak at one of these bookstores where he was going to be talking about his new book, he had a dream that a woman in a red shawl came up to him and introduced herself to him and said, "My name is Miss Napier." So he thought that was a very strange dream. It was very vivid, but he didn't know anyone by that name. So the next day he went to his reading, and at the end of his reading, this woman in a red shawl came up to him and introduced herself to him and said, "I'm Miss Napier." So he didn't know what that was all about, but he just recounted that dream, and there was no way to explain it.
So where can you see this field of study sort of going to? Where would you like it to go in terms of trying to better understand the field?
Well, there's two different branches. There's the academic research, and then there's public acceptance. Because, as I said, there are a number of different universities that are doing research in parapsychology or consciousness studies.
Yeah.
But most people aren't aware of those studies. And even if they were aware of them, they would discount them. So in terms of getting the public to accept these experiences or these phenomena, I think it's important to have people talk about their own experiences. Like, for example, Alex, you just talked about your dream, and I talked about my dream. But I mean, lots of people have had experiences like that, but they've learned not to talk about them because they think people are going to look down on them.
Yeah.
But I mean, recently, more and more people, including professionals, physicians and psychologists and academics, are talking about their own personal experiences. And that sort of makes it more permissible for other people to talk about their experiences as well. So I think at some point there's going to be a turning point where people are going to start to accept these experiences as normal. That's the whole gist of my book, that the paranormal is really normal. Lots of people have these experiences. For example, recently bereaved widows or widowers often have the experience of seeing their deceased loved one. And they might hear them, they might see them, they might smell a familiar smell like a perfume or a cologne or something like that. But they don't tell anyone, not even their doctors, not even their closest friends, because they're afraid they're losing their minds. And they feel embarrassed, they feel ashamed. So I'm trying to point out that these types of experiences are nothing to feel ashamed about. They're nothing to feel embarrassed about. And at the same time, they're nothing to feel proud about or special about. It's just part of normal human existence. And so many people have these experiences, and I'm trying to bring them out in the open.
Yeah, I mean, it's important information. It really is. And the connections that they would form, and learning from the different experiences, and putting those pieces together, I think are very important. And yeah,
it is important for sure. I mean, who knows where this research could lead humanity down the road. I mean, all these years we could have been missing out on some very crucial and important information about our species and about our abilities, that just because people are not willing to be open-minded enough to the possibility that we have latent talents that, I don't know, that scares them, for lack of a better term, or maybe it goes against their own personal religious beliefs, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
That's true. But I also feel that science is constantly evolving. And things that we consider ridiculous 100 years ago, they thought that was, legit. Like, for example, they used to use leeches and bloodletting and technology and, where they feel the bumps on your head to determine your personality. So things that we now think are ridiculous, they thought they were perfectly fine, and that was the state of the art. So you can imagine, as time goes on, that every new generation has new ideas, and there'll be a new generation of scientists that will look at things in a different way.
That can only be good.
I mean, like investigating the phenomenon, and dealing with people, it's a constant thing where the person who's seeking some sort of answers or help is of sorts, they'll come to you, and the first thing that I hear all the time is, "I hope you don't think I'm crazy."
Right.
And I tell them, "No, you're not crazy at all. I mean, this is more common than you think."
That's right.
Yeah. And I mean, I think they like you said, they need that reassurance, because I mean, a lot of these people, they really have nowhere to turn to, and there are a lot of people that need help, and they're afraid to seek it because, the stigma, obviously.
That's right. That's the big part of it, is fighting the stigma against these paranormal phenomena. I mean, often if I'm giving a reading or if I'm giving a talk somewhere, people will come up to me afterwards and share things with me that they've never told anyone else.
Yeah.
They're too embarrassed to talk about it.
Have you ever gone out in the field, like in an investigation of sorts?
Well, no, not a sort of like statistically based study. No, but I've certainly done a lot of interviews and met a lot of people who shared their experiences with me. And often, if I say I had a particular experience, like I gave the example of the exam dream, and this woman said, "Oh, she had that." Another time, I had an experience where I was lying in bed, I felt a hand on my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if either one of you guys has had that experience.
I've actually had something a little similar, and I'll go into it after you finish your sort of.
Okay. I was just going to say, so I met a woman, she says, "Oh, you had the hand on the shoulder too." Now, the thing is, in terms of the scientific experiments, a lot of these experiences happen at a time of emotional turmoil. For example, if you're scared to death of getting on a plane, then you have a dream which assures you that it's okay to fly, or if you're going through some kind of trauma, whether it's a breakup or death or, a move or something that's very psychologically traumatic, you can't reproduce that in a laboratory. Although there have been some lab studies on ESP and telepathy, which I can get to later if you'd like. But I'll tell you one other story about the hand on the shoulder. How like ministers and priests and rabbis go visit patients in the hospital?
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking to this rabbi who told me an experience he had where he was visiting a patient in the hospital, and the patient was going for surgery. So he was sitting by the bedside, and he was meditating, and he was praying, and suddenly he felt a hand on his shoulder. Then they took the patient for some lab tests just prior to surgery. But when he came back from the lab, they found all the lab tests had reverted to normal, and they canceled the surgery.
Oh.
So I mean, I hear all kinds of strange stories like that.
Well, okay. I'll ask you, what's the strangest you've ever heard?
I mean, I've done a lot of reading, about people who've had strange experiences. Like, for example, I mean, in each different area, whether it's ESP or telepathy or precognitive dreams or near-death experience, there's so many strange stories, it's hard to pick the strangest. In terms of myself, probably the strangest experience I ever had was when I saw the angels at my father's funeral.
Oh, wow.
That was a very strange experience, and that was the point where I decided I need to start talking about it, because it was just too much to keep to myself.
Yeah.
And how do you break that down? I mean, how do you try to even explain that?
Well, there again, that was a very highly emotional experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I think under stress or, emotional turmoil, somehow the brain can have access to different layers of reality. And almost like in my book, I talk about 4 different levels of reality.
Okay.
There's the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. Most of the time, we're talking about the physical.
Yeah.
We're preoccupied and we're concerned with the physical. We know there's something called the world of ideas.
Mm-hmm.
We don't think about that too much. We know there's a world of feelings. We don't think about that too much. And the world of spirit, we don't think about that. Mostly, it's the physical. That's 99% of our time is dealing with the physical.
Yeah.
And I think in times of emotional stress or turmoil, we can have access to higher levels of reality.
Okay.
And we can have access to a spiritual level, which we're not ordinarily in touch with.
So how would that I guess how do I want to put it? How would it sort of equate to, say, the metaphysical?
Well, it's very, very much related to the metaphysical. In fact, my field of study is what has been called meta-psychiatry.
Okay.
Which is a merger of psychiatry with metaphysics.
Oh, okay.
It also includes spirituality and parapsychology and philosophy. So it's not a narrow focus, it's a very broad focus.
Okay. Because I mean, humans obviously pretty much their belief, again, physical, it has to be tangible for the most part. And if it's not tangible, it doesn't seem to be a reality.
That's right.
That's where a lot of... Sorry,
that's true. I was going to say, I use the analogy, like, we can't see ultraviolet or infrared rays.
Yeah.
We can't see gamma rays.
Mm-hmm.
But we know they exist.
Yeah. Just like air in general. You can't see air, but it's there. We know it's there.
Yeah, that's right. So, my thesis is to say there's more to this life than meets the eye.
I wholeheartedly believe that. In the back of my mind, I believe that. My goal is to try to prove it to myself, more so than anybody else. But I do believe there's a lot more to life than what we see or touch or smell or what have you. And, my goal in the paranormal field, for lack of a better term, is to try to convince myself that there's a reality beyond this reality and sort of aim towards that.
Well, I think that's good. But, like in my book, I talk about a balance between belief and skepticism.
Yes.
And I try to make the point that they're not hard and fast categories. A believer can become a skeptic, and a skeptic can become a believer. Also, you can be skeptical about certain things, but you can believe other things. It's not a global category. A person who's skeptical about everything becomes cynical.
Yeah.
So, I try to avoid the two extremes. If you're too far to the other end of the spectrum, you become gullible. If you believe everything, then you're gullible. If you're skeptical about everything, then you're cynical. So I try to find a middle ground. And, and I've given examples in my book of people who are extremely skeptical, who became believers based on their own personal experience.
What are your what's your knowledge or belief or whatever on frequencies and how they sort of influence the body, if you will, the mind, our way of thinking?
Well, I relate the question of frequencies to vibration.
Vibration, okay.
Yeah. And I think there again, for example, someone who is more spiritual, we say they're on a higher vibration.
Yeah.
Or, in terms of reincarnation, we could say that person would be considered an old soul. So therefore, a spiritual path would be to try to raise your vibration or raise your frequency, to become more aware of life beyond the mundane, beyond the material.
So how would somebody raise their frequency, for example?
Well, there's many different spiritual paths, and there's many ways to do it. Of course, there's meditation, there's prayer, and there's all types of creativity when it comes to the arts and culture. When people, for example, get into whatever it is that they're interested in, wherever area their talent lies, whether it's painting or writing or speaking or, music, once they get into that creative area, they somehow merge with a type of higher consciousness.
Yeah.
That they completely lose themselves and they lose all sense of self. So certainly one way would be to find a creative pursuit or endeavor and pursue it and try to get involved in it. And as I said, there's the more conventional ways, such as prayer or meditation. Of course, I think each person has to find their own path. I don't think I can tell people how to do that. I think they have to somehow trial and error, learn through experience, try to find out what works for them.
We had, I'm just trying to remember now, this is quite a while ago. We had a teacher on from the University of Toronto, I believe. This is when we first started the show. Oh. And I remember we were talking, do you remember who I'm talking about, Alex?
I'm horrible with
Christopher, what was his last name? And the one thing that struck me the most, and I'll remember his name, I know I will. The one thing that struck me the most when we were talking about this sort of realm was 0-point energy. Now, are you familiar with 0-point energy?
No, I'm not.
Okay, all right. Okay.
What is it?
Just the fact that there is a point that we are able to, what we have achieved, or we're able to achieve, we're, see, I'm not the perfect person to explain it. So it's something to do with, like, it becomes free. Energy is completely free. And, see, I can't really remember.
So it's almost like attaining a certain level of, as we were talking before, vibration to sort of release the energy and what have you. And
I think it was called 0-point energy, I believe.
I've heard that term.
Nikola Tesla made the statement once that, when scientists start to study vibration and energy and frequency, they'll be making a lot more progress than they have in studying all the physical sciences.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that too. Yeah, that's a great quote actually, because I think what the biggest, and don't get me wrong, we've made some incredible advancements in the scientific field, encompassing the medical field as well. However, I think we could have advanced even further had these people kept a more open mind and not such a skeptical eye on a lot of topics. And who knows? Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Neither Steve or I are involved in the scientific community. We don't know how in depth these topics are discussed behind closed doors. We don't. However, from what both Steve and I can, ascertain from reading articles here and there, or even like hearing about certain people discussing the paranormal and how quickly it's shut down by a lot of the people in academia and a lot of people also in the scientific realm, it's kind of frustrating because you want them to sort of help you. And I want to be able to help them as well, try to come to an understanding that there has to be more. I mean, and I'm not talking about, there's a God or anything of that nature. I'm not a personal believer of that, but there has to be more to life than just what we see. I have a hard time believing that there isn't. And the more people try to keep an open mind about that, the more we may achieve if we do that.
And I think there's been a lot more acceptance recently of some of the things we've been talking about. For example, there's a show on Netflix right now which is called Surviving Death.
Surviving Death, I watched it,
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago was the number 4 show on Netflix. That's how popular it is. So if you've seen it, like there was an episode on near-death experience.
Yeah.
There's an episode on reincarnation. There was an episode on mediums. There's an episode on visions of, the dying. So did you watch the whole thing?
I did, and the one that really stuck with me was the near-death experience. That lady who was clinically dead for about 30 minutes, I think it was.
Yeah.
And they were able to resuscitate her.
That's right.
That really struck me because it's like how can the brain possibly live without any damage for that long a time without any oxygen?
No, it's incredible. Now that woman I'm familiar with that story. Her name is Dr. Mary C. Neal. She's an orthopedic surgeon.
Yeah.
She had a kayaking accident in Chile, and she actually drowned and was.
Oh yeah.
She was
I remember.
underwater for 30 minutes. Like when you talk about what's the strangest thing you've heard, that's definitely one of them.
Yeah. Well.
And there was no brain damage.
Yeah.
She went back to performing surgery.
That's the incredible part.
That's right. So I say, well, there's certain things that we don't understand and that we can't explain scientifically, and we just have to accept that. Maybe one day we'll be able to understand it, but right now we don't.
Yeah, exactly.
The person I was talking about earlier about 0 point energy was Christopher P. Holmes, and he's written several books on it and psychological illusions. In fact, the one that he came on to talk about was 0 point teachings. It's called 0 point teachings.
Okay.
And I believe he studied at Carleton University.
Okay.
He's got several books on the subject, so quite fascinating.
Well, also, there's a type of healing called energy healing.
Yeah.
And people do energy work,
Reiki and...
That's right.
Yeah.
Like even in the medical field. I mean, right now, for example, when I was in the hospital, they had a volunteer who came around offering to do Reiki for the patients.
Huh.
So that's
wow.
being more and more accepted nowadays than it was before.
Yeah, it's funny who like in terms of Reiki, it's not funny, but I mean it's one person, a good friend of mine who's an actor and who was, sorry, passed away, but he was an actor and a musician, and he it was actually quite unusual to hear from him that he had been taking Reiki classes and became a Reiki master, if you will. And he found such solitude in it, and he pretty much gave up. He didn't really give up acting and music, but that was pretty much on the back burner when he went full force into Reiki. It's just interesting to see certain people that you thought would never, go down that path that do go down that path.
I think more and more people are searching for meaning and purpose in life, and they often, go down a spiritual path. People say, why was I born? Why am I here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, so then, I mean, when you look at something, when you hear the power of prayer, I mean, there's absolutely meaning to that. There's a really big meaning to that, and most people don't understand. Something as simple as that. There is really a huge meaning towards. There really is a power behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. That's right.
I think what a lot of people misconstrue.
Operating beyond our horizon, you might say, that we can't see.
Yeah.
We can just be vaguely aware of. Can't even explain it half the time. But I've had so many what you would call paranormal experiences throughout my life. I just came to the conclusion that experience is the best teacher.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's also the one thing that can either convince you or not. If you have experiences, you'll definitely be convinced where, okay, well, some people may still think that they're losing their minds, but for the most part, if it's a one-off or a couple of times, they tend to sort of believe the experience as opposed to think that they're kind of not all there, for lack of a better term.
That's right. And if you have more than one experience, then the experiences start to accumulate, and then the learning starts to accumulate because you're motivated to go find out what's causing this, why is this happening, and then you talk to other people and you do research.
It's kind of caused me to, speaking of it, I'll the experience that I had, not so much the hand on the shoulder, but I was sleeping and I felt like I was conscious at the time of this happening. And what I had seen, it seemed like a figure sort of levitating and sort of floating to the baseboard of the bed and come into my side of the bed, and my arm was overhanging, And this figure came to my side there and came up and reached out and touched my arm. And as it touched my arm, I had this overwhelming feeling of warmth, like familiarity. And I don't know how to equate that other than maybe to somebody that, I'd lost. I don't know. I couldn't, it's just a very, very unusual happening.
You couldn't say who it was.
No, I can't. That's it. That's what I mean. It was so vague, but yet it seemed so real. And like I said, when it, I'm not sure if I was conscious or not, but I felt like I was completely conscious when it did happen.
Right. What I found is sometimes certain things happen which seem very strange and you can't explain them, but you remember them.
Hmm.
And sometimes the meaning is revealed years down the road.
Huh?
So even though now you don't know what that was all about, it's possible you will at some point.
Okay.
That's happened to me a few times.
And that's the thing. That's the beauty of this. Hearing those stories and trying to understand them and and sharing them and not look at in fear of somebody ridiculing and laughing and whatever else. It's really important to have that network of people like you, Dr. Matas, who are able to sort of give somebody a little bit more meaning to what they're going through.
Yeah, what you're doing is fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed the book. And when you were talking about worrying about what other people are thinking about you,
Mm-hmm.
it reminded me of something that someone told me a long time ago. He was an older gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
He said, when I was 20, I was worrying about what other people were thinking about me. When I turned 40, I decided I'm going to stop worrying about what other people think about me. When I turned 60, I realized they weren't thinking about me. They were thinking they were thinking about themselves. So that's probably true.
Yeah.
You're so worried about what people are thinking about you, but they're actually not thinking about you.
And you used that example in your book, if I remember correctly.
That's right. I did put that
Yeah.
in my book.
Yeah.
I like that. I think that's good.
Yeah, it's very insightful because it is also very true. You worry so much about what other people think about you, especially when you're a lot younger. It's almost like you're seeking their approval, right? And then as you get older, you just don't care.
That's right.
Or not, you don't care as much, I would say.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, if you can approve of yourself and if you feel confident in yourself, then you're not going to be so dependent on what other people think about you.
Yeah. Plus, Steve and I are so used to people making fun of us, we're just used to it.
No. Of you, maybe. No.
Yeah, of me, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you have? Do you have something in the works right now that you're working on now, or you have a private practice?
I did have. For many years, I worked at St. Boniface Hospital. I worked mostly in teaching hospitals. And then I went into private practice. And more recently, I'm retired. And now I'm doing other things. So I actually I've started another book. And the subject of my book is going to be the nature of time. What is time?
Mm.
You're going to have to let us know when it comes out.
Well, hopefully it'll be out sometime next year. Okay, sure, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to be looking at, things like time travel. For example, Einstein said, the distinction between past, present, and future is but a stubborn illusion. Mm-hmm. In other words, the idea that all time is now.
Yeah, there's a lot of different takes on that. A lot of people are starting to suggest, I guess, for lack of a better term, that it's not linear.
That's right.
It's all happening right now, and it's all depending on how you are looking at it.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on your perspective, but also like in the era of COVID, now we have COVID time.
Yeah.
And some people say basically there is no time. Time doesn't even exist anymore. Like someone said, how can next month be March? Last month was March.
Yeah. I know.
So,
Well, and you tend to lose track of time when you're not on a regular schedule, I say.
okay.
So
But also, for example, people who have near-death experiences also experience a change in their attitude towards time.
yeah.
Many of them say they have the feeling that time stood still.
Mm.
That often happens when you're out of your body. You feel like time stood still, or else you might feel that time slowed down. So it alters your perception of time when you go through these experiences. But now that's the subject of my next book.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
So your books are available, what, Amazon, pretty much everywhere?
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, Amazon and ebooks are available, and they're also available at Chapters Indigo and Barnes & Noble and Friesen Press bookstore. And yeah.
And
Also Google Play and iTunes bookstore.
And of course, if anybody wants more information about you, they can visit your website at www.drmatas.ca, right?
That's right, yeah.
And that's doctor with just
Be
DR.
happy to hear. Sorry?
That's doctor just DR, not the full word.
Yes, correct. drmatas.ca. I'd be happy to hear from any of your listeners.
Yes. Please reach out to him. I know there's a lot of you guys listening right now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, thank you for joining us this evening. It was, I wish we could have more time, but we'd love to have you back on the show to discuss more and possibly your new book.
Okay, thank you. I'd be happy to come back.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks for having me. I enjoyed our conversation.
Take care.
Take care.
Okay, take care. Bye.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was an awesome show.
That was cool.
Don't worry, people. We're still on for another hour.
Yeah,
I said awesome show because it's like it's a great interview. He's very insightful. I enjoyed his book a lot. I mean, it's not he wrote about a lot of experiences that he had himself and other people have had, but he also referenced a lot of other people and basically their take on this sort of experiences, for lack of a better term. And generally speaking, when you read books, and this is speaking for myself only, when I read books where you have a lot of reference points to other sort of books or even like people, it doesn't interest me, but this one did. And it's primarily because of the subject, really.
Yeah, it's an interesting subject, and again, you look at it. It's from his standpoint, as an academic sort of standpoint.
Yes.
Like there are people who take this seriously. There are people who are really looking into this area that we call the paranormal, if you will, from a very serious standpoint. And like you said, there are studies going on that we don't know about.
Well, that's what really made me happy when he was talking about that, because you and I have talked about this ad nauseum at times, where we always bitch and complain about the fact that the scientific field isn't taking the paranormal seriously. But as Dr. Matas pointed out, it's obviously not as bad as we thought. I wouldn't say it's where it should be, but it's not as bad as we thought.
No, and again, people have to understand, like some of these studies are on stuff that, you think you know what the paranormal is all about. You don't know anything.
Yeah.
These people, these studies, whatever else, are studying areas of the paranormal that you probably have never heard of.
Yeah. For sure.
There's phenomena, all sorts of stuff that these studies are covering. And hey, that's awesome. So it's good. Yeah, it's good to hear that. We're going to take a break here, and when we come back, we're going to just talk about this and much more. Okay.
Awesome.
So don't go anywhere. You're listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio on the New Visions Radio Network, and of course, simulcasting live on our YouTube channel. We'll be right back.
Nocturnal Frequency Radio with your hosts, Steve and Alex.
This is Keith Age, and you're listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Enjoy.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be around this wild, wacky, and sometimes disturbing world of ours. Yes, that's the intro to the Mindset Podcast, a weekly attempt to open eyes and shedding light on what's really going on in the world, all done by ripping apart the media madness that masquerades as news. Join me, Gareth Davis, every Sunday on the Mindset Podcast. You can find the show on all major podcasting services such as iTunes, Stitcher, and so on. Or you can go directly to the main Mindset website. That's www.mindsetcentral.com. Check out the Mindset Podcast. Bring your curiosity, your opinions, and a sense of humor. And remember that some worldviews are stranger than others.
the screen.
Yeah, there you go.
And as you can see, I don't know what kind of bone this is. It's rather big. If it's a deer bone, an animal bone, hopefully it's an animal bone and not human. But I think we're gonna have to report this. And welcome back to Nocturnal Frequency Radio here live on the New Visions Radio Network, and of course simulcasting live on our YouTube channel. And yeah, so pretty good. I would have liked to asked more, but like I said, I don't know much about the book, obviously, because I haven't read the book. So I mean, it was really tough to sort of form any questions based only on the answers and what he was talking about through what you're asking him through your knowledge of the book and reading it. So overall, you enjoyed the book?
I did. Yeah. Like I said, I mean, it's not the typical kind of book that I would read, only because I want to read more about the experiences themselves, whereas Dr. Matas's book does incorporate that, but he also incorporates a lot of references to what other people in the field have said. And when I say field, I'm talking about like the medical field, or even like people like Tesla or like what have you, right? And generally speaking, I tend to stay away from books like that, only because, like I said, I'm more interested in the personal experiences themselves. But it was in good context, put it that way. It was kind of necessary in order for him to drive home the point. And that's what made it really, really good. And I mean, I went through that book pretty quick, considering I only read it, 10 minutes every night before going to bed, because I had to go to work the next day, obviously. But I went through it pretty quickly.
So why how many pages are we talking about? How many pages is the book?
Oh, I think it's over 200 pages for sure. I'm pretty sure it's. I'd have to get my e-reader out because I don't have.
Oh, you lost me, man. Because if it's over 100 pages, forget. No, I'm just kidding.
If it doesn't have pop-ups, I'm not interested.
No, it's funny. My reading is just like. over the past few years. I don't know what it is.
I was like that too, and you know what? I've noticed that my reading, and you'd think it'd be a different story considering we're going through a pandemic and there's really nothing much else to do, but my reading suffered a lot too in recent times, and but I'm forcing myself now to read more and more, right? And you know, Dr. Matas's book was one of them that I initially forced myself to start reading, but then I got interested in it, and once I get interested in it, it's not a chore anymore, and you just sort of do it because you want to find out what's going on next, and you want to sort of, you know.
That's the worst thing when you're struggling to get through. Oh my God, I can't.
Yeah,
you know,
I've come across books like that where I've actually, you know, it's been a struggle to sort of read the book and what have you, right? But you know, this one wasn't a struggle. You know, it was an enjoyable book. It had a lot of good information and things that pertain to what you and I do, you know, as paranormal researchers or as, you know, enthusiasts, for lack of a better term.
I'd love to bring him out to an investigation.
Yeah.
I really would, and get his sort of take on, you know, various sort of aspects, like, you know, for instance, EVPs and his thoughts on what those might be.
Yeah.
You know, because let's face it, there's there's probably a lot of research or studies going on out there as to what they pertain to.
I would love to be able to find out what those studies are. And there was one video I watched today. Was it today or yesterday? Anyway, it was either today or yesterday. That's how much time has just blurred in recent months. But the person I was watching had a good point. When it comes to medical studies, medical papers, is that the majority of them are behind a paywall. So when they're behind a paywall, you don't have access to them. And if you don't have access to them, you don't know what the fuck's going on.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? So for all we know, there could be a slew of research. Well, maybe not a slew, but there could be some significant research being done as Dr. Matas mentioned it, consciousness studies, or for paranormal studies for our purposes, and we just don't know about it unless you're in the field or unless you're in that sort of realm. You know what I mean? And it's I don't know how I would view it, because in a sense I kind of understand why they're doing it this way. However, it's almost like the UFO thing, the UFO analogy, where, you know, let's suppose, for the sake of this argument, we've been visited by aliens. The governments know we've been visited by aliens. They have evidence that we've been visited by aliens, but they're not releasing it strictly because they don't want to cause a mass hysteria or mass panic. Because are we really ready to actually know of this information? There are a lot of people out there who are, but, you know, if it's only a few million out of the over 7.5 or close to 8 billion people on this planet that are ready for it, and the rest of us aren't, then that's going to cause mass hysteria, right? And you don't want something like that. You don't want mass hysteria, right? So I understand it. I may not personally agree with it, but I do understand why they do certain things.
Exactly. I agree. Where'd it go? You know, like, I would really like to know what's going on behind those walls, those paywalls. No, the walls of better understanding, because, I mean, you could read peer review shit. I mean, goes without saying, because there's stuff out there, but I don't know. I'd love to be a part of some of that research or studies or whatever. I would just love to be a part of something like that. I think that would be awesome.
Do me a favor, Steve. Pull yourself back from your mic and say something.
Why? What happened?
I don't think you're coming through your pod mic. I think you're coming through another mic. You want to check your settings on your Skype?
Oh, okay, hold on a second. Yeah, you know what? I'm awfully low, aren't I?
Mm-hmm.
You're just noticing that now?
Yeah, because I was doing most of the talking in the past couple minutes.
Okay. All right.
In the meantime, let's play some music, shall we? What's that? Say something?
You know what?
How's that?
That's better.
Is that better?
That is better.
I was coming through the the webcam.
Yeah. Yeah, that's happened to me before where it switches for some stupid reason.
Wonderful, isn't it? Wonderful. Yeah, I just noticed that. I wonder when it did that. That's weird because I had it all set up properly.
No, I know, but remember when we went to break and I said that your image, your NDI thing just sort of resized itself?
Oh, yeah, maybe that's why.
So
right?
something must have happened that sort of just threw it off whack.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. Yeah. So interesting guest. And yeah, I would love to
Yeah.
There's now some bass to my voice. Thank you, Kevin.
And then Ron said the same thing in YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, interesting guest and I'd love to have him back on.
Yeah, for sure.
In the future. So
Sure.
It's I don't know. Is he somebody you'd love to have as a part of, like I say, a table, a round table, and trying to better understand certain things about the paranormal?
I guess that would depend on who's on the round table.
Well, I'm not talking about bringing somebody like UFO Ricky on.
Although, because he is a psychiatrist, he might be able to actually analyze him and figure out what the hell's going on with his mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, that'd be way out there. Yeah, no pun intended, obviously, right?
Yeah,
way
exactly.
Out, way there.
Let's probe him for some questions.
I don't think we have to probe him. I think he's quite open.
Yeah.
I think he's quite open with his answers and his story.
And obviously we're referring to UFO Ricky now, just so everybody's clear.
Well, obviously.
Yeah. Don't want to have any misconception here.
So, we've got some more guests coming up.
Yes, we do.
We have, we've got Bishop Pilato coming up as well. That's next week, isn't it?
I believe it is, yes.
And then we have
Dr. Justin Sledge.
Justin Sledge. And who else? There's somebody else.
Yes, there is. Karen Conkley.
I don't know if you said that right. What?
Karen Conkley? Conkley? I think that's how it's pronounced. I hope that's how it's pronounced.
Better you than me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just hoping I pronounced it right.
I'll let you botch a name.
Yeah.
I do that too much.
Usually it's you who botches the names up, yes. Yeah, she's agreed to come on the 28th of March. She was involved in a study involving lucid dreaming where the science, and she's a student. I thought she had already graduated, but she's a student. But nevertheless, she's studying to be a doctor. She was involved in a study with people who were lucid dreaming and sort of trying to interact with them and get them to answer certain questions while in that lucid dream state, which is interesting because if they're able to accomplish more of this and maybe get to a more complex, I guess, question and answer sort of thing, for lack of a better term, who knows where this could lead, and who knows what this even means. Like, I mean, I know that if you're lucid dreaming, you're aware that you're dreaming.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean well, up until recently anyway, I didn't think it meant that you were aware of your external surroundings.
Well, I mean, there's thought that, when you're lucid dreaming, that you're able to communicate with others. That might be lucid dreaming.
Right, but that's in the realm of lucid dreaming. This is a scenario where people from outside of that state in the waking world are communicating with them.
I get you. Yeah, no. I know what you're saying. And sort of patching into that conversation is what you want.
Yeah, exactly. So so she's coming on the 28th to discuss this sort of the study primarily and other studies of this nature, and just talk about lucid dreaming and where this could possibly lead. That should be another interesting interview, as well as the interview with Dr. Justin Sledge and the history. I guess we can talk about the history of all of this occult stuff and belief, esoteric beliefs,
magic,
yeah, all that stuff. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, make sure you tune in on March 14th with Dr. Justin Sledge.
Alchemy. Turning wine into gold.
I wish.
Yeah.
He has his own website, YouTube channel called Esoterica. If anybody's interested, check it out. He posts videos there pretty regularly that talks about, and there's someone else I have in mind. I haven't decided whether I want to bring her on yet, but if I want to watch a couple more of her videos. She knows, her and Dr. Sledge know each other. They did a collaboration video once.
Ooh, collaboration.
Yeah, they did a collab video. So he did one part.
A collab video.
And she did the other. Yeah. So she's Italian too. Look at that.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I'm going to feel left out. I won't be
You're
able
gonna
to
feel
speak
left
Italian.
out. That's right. We're going to be making fun of you in Italian. You won't have a fucking clue what we're talking about.
Actually, I can understand it.
Can you? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've watched enough Italian movies, I guess.
Speak to me. Speak to me in Italian. I'll tell you what you tell me.
No, because the ones I want to say, everybody understands.
He just doesn't want to say anything in Italian right now.
No.
Answer me this. Why are there no psychic millionaires?
Good question. I've been asking that question myself too.
How come none of these psychics are millionaires? Like outside of regular former fame or fortune. But I mean, how come none of them won the lottery or anything like
the
that?
standard response that I've gotten, or people I know have gotten, is that that's not how this works. That's a standard answer. There's no elaboration. It's just, that's not how this works. Right?
So that's not how it works. No.
Yeah.
No.
That's the answer I usually get when I ask that same question, or other people ask that question, because it's a legitimate question. If you're psychic, why can you not predict the numbers of the upcoming lottery? Or pick a winning scratch ticket?
Channel 47.
What's that?
I know Channel 47. Kevin, tell me more, because I remember Channel 47.
I don't remember.
Do you remember
that.
Channel 47?
No.
Oh, you may not, because you weren't.
I'm the same age as Kevin.
Yeah, but you weren't here in Canada at the time. Channel 47. Channel 47. Come on, Kevin.
Pipe up,
Channel
Kevin.
47. Tell me more about Channel 47. How come that rings a bell? And Alex is going, what the hell is he talking about?
Yeah. Is that
He doesn't pay attention to the Mixler chat anymore.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube. I got to keep an eye on the YouTube channel, make sure it's running smoothly.
He's got to keep an eye on the YouTube channel.
So, yeah.
Well, you can still have it hooked up, you know that, eh? Mine comes through the interface.
I could have both open. That's not the point. The point is I'm not able to multitask that well in order to keep an eye on both chats.
Channel 47. What did I watch on Channel 47? I know I watched. Alex knows what you're talking about. I mean, Alex, you know what he's talking about.
I do? Okay.
Late night Italian movies. Johnny Lombardo.
Oh, wait a
Lombardi.
minute. Are you talking about those softcore porn Italian movies? Okay. Anyway, Marcy had a comment on YouTube. She goes, if it's a true gift and you use it for your own benefit, the gift will be taken away. So I've heard. That's what she's saying.
Oh, come on. I think that's just smoking mirrors. Come on. It wouldn't matter anyways. You win one lotto. Who cares?
That's right.
Take it away. Take it away.
Especially if it's a big jackpot.
If it's a big jackpot, who cares? Take it. I don't care. So as long as I get to keep the money. Yeah. No, seriously.
Softcore Italian porn.
If you were a psychic, Alex, what would be the first thing that you would do with that gift?
Interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to think about it.
Well, that's what you're doing right now. You're thinking about it.
It might take me a few minutes.
Well, I'll take a few minutes then.
So let's talk about something else as I think about
it. Come on, think. Come on.
You know what?
All of a sudden you wake up the next day and you're poof.
But you're talking about
you're pulling premonitions out of your head. Oh my God,
I would probably try to win the lottery. Hey, Terry's on the YouTube channel. What's going on? He's like, buy burritos.
Buy burritos.
By the way, folks, don't forget, if you're listening to us on YouTube, don't forget to hit like and subscribe and hit the bell notification so you know when upcoming videos are coming out.
Yeah, you can follow us on Twitter at Dark Discussions, Facebook at facebook.com/Nocturnal Frequency Radio. And of course, our Instagram is Nocturnal Frequency Radio. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, come on over, subscribe, like the videos.
Yeah.
And of course, what else?
Even if you prefer,
Teespring is not Teespring anymore. It's Spring.
Well, I think it's still teespring.com, however, the URL. But it just changed name. But regardless, we do have merch on the Spring store or Teespring store. So don't forget about that. Yeah,
we've got some swag, and the swag, like I said, any swag that's sold goes right back into the monthly running of the radio show here.
That's right. So for all of you who listen to us on New Visions Radio, head over to our YouTube channel and also subscribe there, because occasionally we do also do shows outside of the normal time slot. We'll occasionally do shows Friday nights, which are not broadcasted on New Visions. So if you want to, check those out, feel free. And the only way you'll be able to do that is if you go to our channel now on YouTube, subscribe, and also hit the bell notification.
And I mean, obviously, a lot that's going on with the nocturnal night shots as well.
Yes.
Which is integrated with this. And of course, what was supposed to be episode 3 is now a full-fledged documentary coming sometime later in the year.
Pending COVID restrictions, of course.
Yeah, pending COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
The Dark Woodlot, of course, we've been playing. You can check out the trailers here on the YouTube channel, and some sneak. We'll probably do some sneak previews coming up soon. We don't have the Bone one. We haven't uploaded. Did we upload the Bone one?
Well, I run it on the commercial.
Yeah, you run it on the commercials, but we haven't uploaded it to the.
I don't think we have. No. And I think I showed you this already, but I got all the archive shows on here. I got to get it to you somehow.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, and of course, archive shows that we put up. Some of the
116 shows on this little thing here.
Yeah. How many?
116.
116, some of the more notorious shows.
Yes, I'm back in the BTR days.
And again, I've finally uncovered the live stream. Terry, you will remember those, the live stream days. live stream when Frankie, just for Terry. There you go. Hey Terry, look who's here.
Hey, look who it is.
Look who's there.
It's your friendly neighborhood.
Where's Terry? I don't see Terry. Where's Terry?
Put up your hand, Terry.
Where's Terry? Alex stole my burrito. Yeah. So anyhow, yeah. So check that stuff out, and like I said, any support that you guys can give us, and we absolutely appreciate the support you already have. Just by tuning into the shows every Sunday night and whatnot. And like Alex said, we do the occasional bonus show through the week. Normally a Friday night.
That's normally a Friday night.
And again, we tend to on with these shows, on the Sunday night shows, we tend to run it a little extra after the show here on YouTube as well. Maybe it'd be 15 minutes or half an hour or whatever. We have we've done that a few times in the past as well. So yeah, and again, only here on YouTube, because of course we've got a dedicated time slot on New Vision, so we can't do the extra stuff through New Visions, unfortunately.
Nocturnal after hours.
The after hours. And I mean, if any of you ever listened to the show back in the day when we first began, we were broadcasting from 11 to 1 a.m. p.m. 1 a.m. p.m.
Yeah, 1 a.m. p.m. Yeah,
Eastern Standard Time. So, and we did have a lot of interesting phone calls.
Yes, we did.
I think you got one loaded up there, right?
Yes, I do. You want me to play it?
Yeah, play the whole thing. Go ahead.
All right, so let me start with the first part. Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, I have recordings of evil angels going in my purse, unzipping it and everything, and snorting and growling and all. And I recorded tapes when I didn't understand. Okay, when I didn't understand the strange things that was going on in my house.
That was added after the fact, obviously, right? The part.
Oh yeah, no, I added that in there.
Yeah. Okay, here's the second part.
It went something like a talkie grabbed it like a cartoon. It went and then there was some chant like on Rosemary Baby, and then something so low and like and all of that. And so I let my good friend I called Mom listen to it. She said, I don't watch pictures like that. And so I've been recording down through the years various recordings. I accidentally recorded them walking along beside me, and they was breathing like that and walking.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember. Were you co-hosting with me when that happened?
I believe I was. Yeah.
I think that was before.
No, I think it was after. I think I was there.
It was after?
Yeah.
All I remember that was during those would always happen during the dark discussions.
Yeah, because that's usually when we open the lines.
Open the lines up, and some of the calls. I wish we had the other call.
Yeah, yeah.
I wish.
If you do happen to find it, let me know. I'll load it up onto the soundboard.
I don't know. Hopefully, you might have it in the archives there somewhere.
Yeah, that's true too.
That was definitely a BTR show. There was no doubt about that.
Good old BTR days.
Yeah, but anyways, point being, we used to broadcast later at night, and of course, that's when we got a lot of the crazies that used to come in.
Yeah, and that's also when we were younger and we could do the later shows. As we got older, it's not something we could do anymore. But we had some very interesting calls, no doubt. I'd like to say that they were not crazy, but I'd be crazy for saying that. Now, okay. Considering, we just had, Dr. Matas on, who is a psychiatrist. I know that's a crass term to use, general term, but nevertheless, we did have some colorful people call us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
During those late hours, and some of them probably did it on purpose just to get us going.
Well, I don't know about that lady.
No, not her.
Well, that one, the one that the one I'm referring to about the leprechaun.
Oh yeah.
That's an obvious one. I mean, that was a stunt. There was no doubt about that. But I'll tell you right now, I never heard people laugh so hard in my life.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can imagine.
That was something else.
That's Kevin's domain right there.
Oh, he would have had a ball.
Yeah, he would have had a laugh.
Had a ball. He would have had a ball. So, anyways, getting back to the guests that are.
So Terry just put a comment up on YouTube. Goes, pretty sure that was Gwyneth Paltrow that called. Yeah, she's pretty much gone off her rocker this last few years. I know.
Yeah. So I mean we've pretty much the month of March.
Mm-hmm.
We have. Well, it's not March yet.
No, well, it's March tomorrow.
But yeah. I mean, starting with Dr. Matas here this evening. Great interview, by the way. Like I said, it's just you wish you had more time where you can ask more questions and stuff like that, because obviously the guy is just a wealth of information. Yeah. And to pick his brain on all sorts of stuff. I mentioned Christopher P. Holmes. I'd love to have him back on the show.
Sure.
But he's really hard to get in touch with these days. I don't know. The contact I had, I think I tried contacting him again to bring him back on, but I wasn't able to hear from him. He has written, I don't know. Did you look at the link I gave you?
Not yet. I'll look at it after the show.
He's got a shitload of books now.
Yeah.
He's got a crap load of books. I think when we had him on the show the first time, I think he had like 2, maybe 3 books. Now he's got about 8 or 9.
Well,
so
maybe that's why he's hard to get a hold of. Maybe he's busy doing book tours. Well, not recently anyway. Yeah. Virtual book tours.
Well, I think I have to update my contact info with him because, interesting. Another interesting character, that's for sure. Like I said, that the whole 0 point aspect is quite intriguing.
Yeah.
And again, it sort of lends down to the whole metaphysical world, if you will,
yes,
and understanding it. And I got to pick up a book of his. Very, very interesting.
Sounds
very
like
interesting stuff.
I'll take I'll take a look once we will finish the show.
Yeah, I mean he sort of I think he sort of goes with a lot of what we're talking about in the month for the month of March is what I was getting at.
Yeah, a lot of the academic stuff, right?
A lot of the academic stuff, a lot of esoteric sort of metaphysical sort of down that realm. And sort of stepping away from talking about the traditional ghost phenomenon crap,
Well, I mean, we've talked about ghosts and stuff like that ad nauseum for the past 13 years. Having a few guests on to talk about stuff.
But it's really tough though. when you want to sort of branch out. Let's talk about demons, right?
Yeah. Well, that's why we bring Dr. Demon Gord on every once in a while.
Yeah, but I think he's even getting sick and tired of talking about demons.
Yeah.
He would like to see a demon.
Yes.
He would like to experience a demon.
So if any of you out there listening to us or watching us know of any demon that Dr. Demon Gord can have a conversation with, please let us know. And we'll forward it. We'll forward the information to Dr. Demon Gord.
So if you're listening, Dr. Demon Gord, the word is out.
Yes.
The word is out.
We're doing this for you, buddy.
We're trying to help you.
Yeah,
we're trying to help you.
We're doing this for you, buddy.
It's just like, Alex would like to see a ghost.
Yeah.
We're helping you with a demon.
I'd like to physically see a burp.
Okay, actually, let's put it out here now. Let's put it out there now.
Yes.
Actually, you'd like to see a what? Sorry?
I said burp for some stupid reason. I meant ghost.
Well, yeah. Let's put it out there. Let's have a long-standing bet. The listeners out there, who is going to see what first? Is Alex going to see a ghost first, or is Gord going to see a demon first?
We're taking bets.
Going to experience their preferred realm.
So Steve and I are taking bets. We only take 10% of the winnings.
No. All money goes towards the show.
All right.
Never.
Fair enough. Well, I meant, whoever wins the bet, we take.
No bet. No. A gentleman's bet.
Okay.
Okay, gentleman's bet. All right. No money involved. Gentleman's bet.
That's no fun.
Well, no, we have to be professional here with this. Come on. Who is going to see what first? Is Alex going to see a ghost first, or is Gord, Dr. Demon Gord, going to experience a demon first? Folks, we want to hear, who do you think is going to experience their preferred thing first?
I think we should put that poll up on Facebook, on our Facebook group.
Can we do polls?
I think we can.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. And then send us your feedback. If you haven't joined our Facebook page, please do so. Just, look us up on Facebook. Just do a search on Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Join the page, join the group, join the fun, and go from there. And I can also answer that poll.
Who is going to win the big money?
The big Monopoly money.
The big money. Who's going to win?
So let's ask the question of, our old time listeners, Terry, Marcy, Kevin, anybody else who's been listening to the show for quite a while. What are your bets?
Ron
too, yes, of course. Sorry, I had to mute because I had to burp.
Okay, so go. Okay, so what were you going on about? What?
No, from our longtime listeners, who do they think is going to basically see it? Am I going to see the ghost first, or is Dr. Demon Gord going to see a demon first? Answer that now in the chat, just to get an idea of where this is going.
I can't create a poll on the group. How do you do a poll?
I could have sworn I've seen polls done in groups before.
I've seen polls before, but I can't see one in ours.
Okay, I'll take a look after. But we'll do it. We'll do it somehow, or else we'll just pose the question and then we'll base it on responses.
Host a Q&A watch party. We can have a watch party. Let's watch to see who sees what first.
A watch party where? On Facebook?
On Facebook, yeah. No, I know that, but yeah, I don't see a poll anywhere.
All right, we'll see if we can figure something out.
I'm sure there's one there somewhere. I don't know. Create a poll. I don't see it. Okay. Anyways, I don't see a poll. Oh well, tough luck. Everyone's kind of quiet there. I don't hear anything being said in the chat.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like,
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
I mean, are they watching? Are they listening? Come on. Let's hear from you. So, So we have Bishop Pilato coming on next week.
Mm-hmm.
Who will be, I actually contacted him in reference to a case that I've been dealing with, and recommending him to the person involved, who is seeking some help in advice, some advice on a situation that they were going through. And we basically said, well, it's time for you to have come back on the show. So he's going to be coming back on the show. We set it up for next Sunday night. His group is Ed and Lorraine. He deals with Ed and Lorraine's. I forget the name of the group. New England. Ed and Lorraine's New England Ghost something. I don't know what it is. Something to do with Ed and Lorraine Warren.
Okay.
I'll have to look it up again. Of course, we'll have all the info for the show coming up next Sunday night. But he's been on the show for a while. He's been on the show. And in fact, he was somewhat a part of Southern Ontario Paranormal for a little bit. Not for an extensive period of time, but he was a part of the team there for a little bit. It's interesting, some of the people we've had in the group.
Yeah.
And I sit back and go, wow, they were a part of the group.
Yep.
Interesting. Him and, I don't know. I don't want to get into too much about it, but, Dr. Demon will see his demon first.
Where are you reading that from?
YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Ron who said that. Yeah. And Marcy's like, I'm here, I'm thinking. Come on, Mars. You could do it. Tell me who's going to see first.
What about Kevin? You're quiet there. What's going on? And Redmond, where are you guys?
I think Kevin fell asleep.
I didn't hear from you guys. Huh?
Kevin probably fell asleep.
I know we're that exciting, but
yeah.
We got to pull. We'll put a pull up somewhere. I don't know where you get it.
Yeah, I don't know. We're probably gonna have to just pose the question and get people to write the response. Unfortunately,
come on, Facebook. Come on, there's got to be somewhere on Facebook you can do it.
It's kind of retarded that you can't do polls.
Huh?
It's kind of retarded that you can't do polls.
Oh, you can. I'm sure there is a way of doing polls. It's just a matter of create page. No, I'm looking at it now, and
oh, Marcy said, I think Alex will see a ghost first, but not before me.
Create, offer, event. No, we don't want any of that. Let's see here. Activities. No, that doesn't work. No, I don't see anywhere it says you can do a poll. I thought you were able to do a poll too.
I'm pretty sure I've seen them on Facebook.
I've seen polls before.
Yeah, so there's got to be a way of doing it. It's time consuming. You probably have to go through the whole fucking site just to see where polls are.
Yeah. It's funny too when, Dr. Matas, the picture too.
The what?
The picture that we have him with the glasses and that.
Yes.
When he came on, when we brought him on, I was like, wow. Do we have the right guy here?
Yeah, I know.
Is this the same guy?
Yeah, it's called COVID hair and COVID beard.
Yeah. Like, wow.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you and I don't have the COVID hair because we got no hair.
No.
But, actually, I have a coworker who just let his hair grow long just because he hasn't had the chance to go to the barber, apparently. So he's got quite the locks growing now.
He's got quite the locks. Redmond says he says sorry, he was caught in the astral plane.
So in other words, he was sleeping.
Yeah.
Good one, Red. Good way to put it, Redmond.
But yeah, so I think Kevin's still in the astral plane. I think he's still in the astral plane.
Kevin's battling all those demons in the astral plane.
So will Alex see a ghost before Dr. Demon sees his demon?
So we have one for Dr. Demon, seeing the demon. Ron's saying that, and Marcy's saying, I will see the ghost first, between the two of us, between myself and Gord. And I don't think Redmond's actually given a response yet.
I think Gord is going to see his demon before you see a ghost.
Oh, is that what he said? Okay.
No, I'm saying that.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that. I think you're going. I mean, I think Alex is going to see a demon first, and that's a rarity.
Mm. So apparently, Ron was saying you can only do polls on Twitter and YouTube, not on Facebook. He hasn't seen it on Facebook, I guess.
Well, you can do a poll here.
Apparently, on the community tab, I think.
Huh?
On the community tab, there's a community tab that you can.
Well, maybe we should get that going.
Yeah, eventually. One thing at a time.
Redmond says you'll see your ghost first.
I'll see my. Okay, so there we go. So it's 2-1. Actually, no, 2, because you said yourself, me, I will see a ghost first.
No, I said Dr. Demon.
Okay, so it's 2-2 then. It's 2-2.
So it's tied. Yeah, it's 2-2. Or my astral form. Redmond says, or my astral form.
Yeah. Don't be haunting me, Redmond.
Boo.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So next Sunday night we have Bishop Pilato, who's going to be on. I can never say his name right. His last name. Can you remember his last name?
You know I'm bad with names.
Huh?
You know I'm bad with names.
Angelicus. I can never say his last name right.
Does he have a website?
No.
Okay. Why don't you message me his name and I'll see if I can pronounce it.
No.
All right, fair enough.
Well, you have to do your own research.
How can I if I don't know how to spell his name?
He's been on the show before. You know who he is.
That may very well be, but I can't remember names very easily. Steve's being a dick.
Who? What?
It's one of those.
That's Kevin says that sounds obscene.
Oh yes, he's also posted that on YouTube channel. So he's on both. He's watching us and he's listening to us.
He's switched over.
Has he now?
He's crossed over.
He's crossed over to the dark side.
Kevin's crossed over.
That's it. He's done. He's a ghost.
He's making the rounds.
He's making the rounds. Yeah.
He's making his rounds. Oh.
I should show you what Kevin sent me on Messenger before. It's not safe.
I'm sure you will.
It's not safe.
Okay, okay. So, what is it? Justin Sledge will be on the what's the date for him again?
14th.
The 14th, yeah. And then the 28th is
I don't know. I don't want to butcher her name.
You don't want to. You already did.
I know, and that's the thing, right? So it's Karen Conkley, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. I apologize if it's not. We'll find out when we talk to her. Nevertheless, she'll be on the 28th to talk about that research that she was involved in regarding communicating with people who are having lucid dreams. And there's Frankie again, making a cameo. Hit the like button if you like Frankie. I should play that scary theme whenever he comes on.
We'll have Hanky Franken on there. Franken on there.
Hanky Frank.
There. Frankie's hanging on there. There you go. There you go. That's the only way he's gonna stay. He's a permanent mascot of Nocturnal Frequency Radio.
Only problem is you can only see his one hand.
What?
On the YouTube feed, you can only see the one hand.
Oh, for crying out loud. Frankie's pissed off. You're pissing him off.
Just move your camera.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it easier to move your camera? There you go. There's Frankie.
You got both his hands in there?
Yep. Well, just one hand, but I got most of him anyway. Just missing the one arm.
Oh, for crying out loud. Really?
I don't need to see you. Just show him.
There. That's the way it used to be back in the day.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Kevin said, so soon somebody's going to fart. I know it.
Read my palm. Can you read my palm?
Yeah, it says, you're going to live to be over 150. So Kevin's suggesting that someone's going to be farting soon.
No, it's belching, and we've been awfully conservative tonight about that. Thankfully, it could have, the first hour could have been very disastrous.
Well, that's because we actually had a guest on. Because if it was just the two of us, then there would have been no holds barred.
Yeah, but that's the reason why nobody wants to come on the show, because that's all we do is burp and fart and talk about burritos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
really, seriously.
I know. I
mean, this show has really evolved from the old days,
or devolved is more like it.
Devolved, yeah. But we still try to bring you. In fact, the first week of April, we have a burrito specialist coming on.
Yes.
Yeah, Taco de Mayo. Taco de Mayo is his name.
Taco de Mayo. He's coming
Taco
on. He's coming on in April, not Cinco de Mayo. He's coming on in April.
He's coming on in April.
He's going to talk about the many layers.
No, he's talking about the many layers of a burrito.
Yeah, and
how to build your own burrito,
and the after effects of the burrito,
and the effects the burrito has on the human body. And one of them is hauntings of burritos.
Yes, hauntings of burritos.
Believe it or not, there's a lot of burrito hauntings out there.
There is.
There's a crap load of no pun intended.
Pun intended. No, the pun was very intended.
Yeah, and this is going nowhere.
No, well, we're at the end of the show almost, and we both had. I know I've had my drink.
Well, whoops, Frankie left us.
Frankie just flew off the stand. So Kevin's saying he would have called in and intoxicated the doctor to our ways. But no, that wouldn't have been
indoctrinated it?
No, he said intoxicated.
Oh, intoxicated.
I think Kevin's a bit intoxicated right now as well.
So Kevin's in tune with this.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anyways, let's be serious here.
Yeah.
So we do have a packed guest packed March.
Yes, we do. We do, and it's been a while since we've had this many guests on in a row.
And it's caused us to smarten up.
Yeah.
We have
to behave.
We have to behave and be on the straight and narrow.
See, that's the problem. We've been doing shows lately for a while where it's just been either the two of us or where we've had our friends on, like Dr. Demon Gord or Justin or Gareth. And we've been goofing around.
Hold on. This camera's driving me nuts. So we do have to be a little bit more informative, I think. We have sort of strayed away from the informative aspect of the meaning of this show.
Mm-hmm. We have, yes.
Yeah, we have.
Big time when we talk about farts and burps.
Well, yeah. I mean, let's face it. The only reason why they're tuning into us right now is because we're making an ass of it. No, I'm just kidding.
That would not surprise me in the least.
But no, I mean, things could fall and falter to a quick, and that's what's happening right now.
Yeah.
We went like the first hour was like a 5 out of 5. The second hour is gone down to a 0.5.
It's more like negative. Kevin said.
No.
Kevin said this: the TTC subway is littered with the ghosts of burritos. That's true, Kevin. Unfortunately, and you know what the problem is a lot of people walk into the subway car with their mouths open.
Well, let's clarify to the listeners and viewers who may not know what TTC is.
The Toronto Transit Commission.
Okay, just so they know.
Just so they're aware. Yes, for people who don't live in Toronto
not
or
everybody's
area.
from the Toronto area.
This is true. This is true.
Right.
It's basically the.
I mean, Ron probably doesn't know what the TTC is.
That's right.
So you got to clarify.
Sorry, Ron. I forget that sometimes we have people listening from outside of the country, outside of the city. But yeah, the TTCs are a transit system. And
it's not my transit system.
No, it's not.
Is it yours?
No, it's in Toronto.
Yeah.
And hence the name, the Toronto Transit Commission.
When's the last time you rode the TTC?
Oh fuck, I can't remember. Actually, it's probably the ironic part is probably the last time I rode on the TTC was when I went to go watch the Jays game with Kevin. If anything.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. I usually just drive my car down there though. I usually drive and park my car in one of the
Yeah, but this time instead of just having the burrito, you wanted to have a few beers too.
Yeah, exactly. So
well, makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah.
But now that big fat burrito's gone, what do?
I have nightmares. It
sucks that
it
big
does.
Fat burrito. I mean, come on, it's the best name for a burrito shop. Big Fat Burrito.
That's right. Not only was it the best name, it was also the best burrito I've had.
Best burrito, and you need to look at. Come on, somebody revive Big Fat Burrito. Come on, please. We need Big Fat Burrito back. We really do. I think we should have a campaign to bring back Big Fat Burrito.
Yeah, I agree.
And the funny thing is, the entire time that Big Fat Burrito was in existence, they had no clue that we were constantly talking about them.
I know. That's the funny thing. We were constantly promoting them. And you know what? I think we should open it up. We should open up 2 stores. Big Fat Burrito on the one side and Big Fat Sausage on the other.
Big Fat Sausage.
You gotta diversify here.
Oh, diversify. Yeah. Oh, God. Okay, hold on a second. I'm gonna have to end the New Visions here. Yeah. Guys, if you're listening to the New Visions feed, please come on over to the YouTube feed. We're gonna go for a little longer there. Once again, I want to thank you for all tuning in on the New Visions Radio Network. We'll be back next Sunday night with Bishop Palato. So keep an eye on our Facebook group and more for that. Until then, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next Sunday night. Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Okay, so that's now in queue. We're good to go.
Yep.
Here on YouTube. So yeah, the campaign to bring back Big Fat Burrito. I mean, is that a possibility?
We can always try.
I mean, let's face it. What makes good radio? And of course, this isn't radio anymore because this is YouTube. But talking about meaningless things.
Agreed.
I mean, come on, seriously.
That's what they do all the time.
Think about all the classic shows that you watched on TV. Seinfeld. Come on.
A show about nothing.
A show about nothing.
That's what our show's about.
Well, I shouldn't say that. No, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I think we've brought a lot. I think there's a lot of people that we've had on the show that Come on, seriously.
We had this instance.
That hurt.
That was classic, man.
That's classic Gord.
Seriously. In a year from hell,
Yes.
that's one of my highlights.
It is. It is.
That really is. That is one of my highlights.
I have, once we're done with the Dark Woodlot and the documentaries out, I do have, and I think I already told you about this, but there is another woodlot near my house where they found 2 bodies, I guess in the last 10, 15 years, or give or take. But yeah, that's something that's also interesting. You might want to consider.
We could. What are we going to make a series on woodlots?
I guess so. Yeah,
that's a good idea. We should have an ongoing series on woodlots.
Yeah, and the mysteries and the intrigue within them.
Well, I know somebody's doing a show on staircases.
Oh fuck! See, there you go.
So maybe we could do one on woodlots.
Yeah, there's plenty of them around here. Let me tell you.
Oh, there's woodlots everywhere. Just shitloads of them. I mean, but let's be honest. With the ever expansion of civilization, woodlots are a dying breed.
Yep.
And I don't know how long this woodlot that we're currently working on, how long that's going to last. I as far as I know, there's been proposals for some of it, if not all of it. And from what I understand, they're trying to save it. And I think that runs out actually this year, 2021. So I don't want to see it go. I love that little place, man.
Yeah.
I really do. And it'd be a shame to see it doze down. And not to mention, the home of a lot of wildlife.
Yeah. Coyotes for sure.
Coyotes, turkeys, wild turkeys are in there, deer, you name it. Possums. We saw a possum playing.
Oh yes, that's right.
Tree.
So Gordon wanted to go and pet it.
Yeah, So, and not to mention the mysterious stuff that goes on in that place.
Yeah.
There's a lot more going on that we know, and we've captured, and that we are going to share with you, with this new documentary coming up. We still have to shoot some more. In fact, I'm going to be with Patrick tomorrow, and we're going to be shooting some more. We're going to do some more drone footage.
Okay. All right.
I wanted to get more drone footage during the winter. I don't know how much more snows. There's not much more snow there. A lot of it's melted, but I want to sort of give the feeling of, because I mean, let's face it, we were in there once or twice and there was snow, right?
Yeah.
What was it? It was just a couple days before Christmas the last time we shot, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't too far off of Christmas, no.
I think it was the 19th of December.
Yeah,
I think the 19th of December was the last time we shot.
Yeah, it was very close to Christmas, yeah.
And was that the night we had the no. What are
you talking about? The coyotes? That was the night we found the mound.
No. Yeah,
because the mound was the last time I went out.
Okay, so that was the last time then.
Yeah, the last time.
Yeah, because we found the bone the night before that.
The time before that, yes.
The time before that, we found the bone.
Yeah.
So this is going to, I think, turn it, like I said, some of the footage, some of the audio that we've captured, and some of, like I said, it's interesting, and I think there's still, I think our focus is going to be the mound when we go back.
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
You know, what is that mound? What is the mound? Is there, yeah. And again, you're going to have to wait for the documentary to find out what the mound is all about, because we're not going to give it away until the documentary's finished.
It's about burritos and sausages.
Are you saying it's an ancient food stand?
Yeah, it's an ancient food stand. That's right. They had sausages in the burrito. Figure that one out.
They had sausages in the burrito.
Yeah.
Wow. Talking about mashing up some cultures there, buddy.
Oh yeah. Some
It's
spicy,
like
chorizo.
It's like taking a fucking hot dog to China.
Sure. I'm sure they have hot dogs there now.
Well, they have hot dogs there now.
Yeah.
You know, taking a samosa to, I don't know. Where would they take? Where would you take a samosa and they look at it and go, "What the fuck is this?"
Probably Antarctica.
You know, it's funny. I read your mind. I was going to say Antarctica.
That's probably the only place I can think of, because it's like,
but yeah,
samosas are pretty much all over the world now.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, they're all over. They're all over.
Yeah,
I
samosas
mean,
are
that's the
great.
thing now. We are so global. It's you know, we just don't understand how global we are.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at food, you look at all this all these things. It's like everybody knows what anything is. You know, obviously there are certain things that we don't know, we haven't experienced, but I mean, for the most part, when it comes to food,
Yeah. This is
You know?
especially like in metropolitan cities like Toronto, for example, or New York or Chicago, or where you have so much variety, you're gonna know pretty much every food from around the world. Now there may be some dishes that didn't come over, but you generally have an idea of like area, like the Indian food or Chinese food, or obviously Chinese food is pretty much everywhere, but you know, like little far off places that you wouldn't know about, I'm sure you'll find it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I think that's about it, buddy.
I think so.
I think that's it. Until next Sunday night.
Yes.
I want to thank Dr. Matas for coming on the show for the first hour.
Mm-hmm.
Wealth of knowledge, very intriguing stuff. Check out his website, drmatas.ca.
And his book.
And his book is, what's the title? Oh, he's looking for it. Well,
Can't be doing stuff like that to me. You know I'm bad with names.
well, you read the book.
That doesn't mean I memorize the title.
De-Stigmatizing the Paranormal.
That's the subtitle.
Oh.
See?
Well, I was hey, listen, I took a good stab, didn't I?
Yeah, you took a stab, all right. Anyway.
Well, you can find his book on his website. And,
hang on, I'll get it for you.
Huh?
I'll get it for you. Hang on. It's in the description of the YouTube channel, by the way, of the show. So, in case you want to, and I have provided a link to the actual Amazon, The Borders of Normal, De-Stigmatizing the Paranormal. Yeah.
Normal.
Borders
And
of
that's an
Normal.
interesting explanation on what paranormal is.
Yeah. So let me
I
give you the
don't think I've ever heard that explanation before.
No. So let me give you the full title. The Borders of Normal, a clinical psychiatrist destigmatizes paranormal phenomena.
Paranormal beside.
Yeah, that's actually interesting how he mentioned it.
Never heard that explained like that ever before.
No, and you know what? He has a point there because of all the other examples he used, like paramedic.
Paramedics.
Yeah.
What else?
Fuck, what else did he use?
Yeah, oh, you weren't listening. Come on.
I was listening. I just can't remember. Yeah. Paramedic was one that stuck out to me.
Paramedics, yeah. Well, that was the first one he used.
Yeah. What was the other one, Steve?
Parachutes.
Fuck yeah, okay, parachutes. Even you don't remember.
Paratroopers.
Paratroopers.
Parapsychologists.
Yeah.
What were the other ones?
Parapsychologist, I think, was one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
They work together beside each other.
I am so bad. I'm so bad with names. It's not funny.
Well, you're right. It's not funny.
No, it's not.
You know what it is? It's age. It comes with age.
That's no. I've always been bad with names, even when I was younger.
Oh, oh yeah, putting a little fluff on it there. Come on.
No, fluffing is not my job. Not that kind of fluffing.
No. All right. Until next Sunday night. Again, our guest is going to be Bishop Pilato is going to be on the show. We've had him on a few times in the past. We're going to get caught up with him. And of course, the 14th, we have Justin Sludge.
Dr. Justin Sledge.
Sledge is going to be on. Sledge, sorry. And then the 28th, we're having...
Yeah, see, now you're going to make me try to... No, I'm not falling for it. Just, we're having someone on. You'll know more about it.
Yeah, we'll know more.
Yeah.
Once again, you can follow us on Twitter at Dark Discussions and Facebook, facebook.com/Nocturnal Frequency Radio. And again, of course, our Instagram, which is Nocturnal Frequency Radio. And if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so.
Yes.
Subscribe, like the show. Please, guys, like the show tonight. Click like. I mean, you can click dislike if you, obviously. That's entirely up to you. But we prefer the like, but we'll accept the other one.
Yeah.
It's just the way it goes.
Yeah. It's perfect
Right?
thing. Don't forget to also click the bell notification so you know when upcoming shows are coming up.
Absolutely. And again, that's next Sunday night, guys. Who knows? We might have another Friday night freak out.
Yeah.
Who knows? That comes on Friday nights, obviously. Until then, thank you for tuning in and watching us here on YouTube. We'll see you next week.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.
You are listening